Hey, welcome back to Behind the Lens. I'm John. I'm our virtual production supervisor here.
And I'm Gus. I'm an Unreal Engine artist.
Today, we're going to look at some of our favorite shots from 2024 and break them down for you. So let's dive right into it. This is a social work course video. It takes place in an alleyway. It's a crime scene. So our DP gave us some really great reference shots here, and then Gus, you were kind of able to take that and run, right?
Yep. So everything back here, this is all virtual. This is all built in Unreal Engine. And how I usually build my Unreal Engine environments is I follow the reference, and I'll start sourcing different assets and materials online to kind of get the right textures, because we need a lot of different bricks, grungy textures, smoke, and it gives me a good direction on how I need to set the mood in the lighting. And then lighting is probably the most important thing when building a scene in Unreal. I usually start with like a blank canvas. I delete all the lights in a pre-made scene because we have pretty short turnaround times, like a week, maybe 2 weeks if we're lucky. I'll delete all the lights and then I'll just start building it and following the reference.
So this was our first time using the jib with tracking in a 3D environment.
Yep.
There were some challenges that came along with that. I know one of them was making sure that our actual set blends with the virtual set, having lighting that matches, so practical lights and virtual lights. In the previous process, I remember, we kind of sat down with the director, and that was a big thing, was kind of fine-tuning a lot of those.
It's really important to sit down with the director, because in 3D, I'm able to move around walls, change textures of the building, and really help get the right composition that the director's looking for. They really wanted like a big alley. I needed to make sure that I moved the walls in the right area. I had windows in the right area that they wanted them.
Yeah, this was a cool example of how I remember, when we first looked at this scene, it was lit completely different. And you were able to work with the director to kind of relight it, to give it this whole moonlight vibe where there's light splashing down this wall. And then once you relit it, there was kind of some issues back here. It was too dark, so you almost brought in some more virtual lights to kind of keep extending that motivation of that moonlight. Yeah,
it's really, like, the lighting's the most important thing, because it really lets your textures shine. If you have good textures and bad lighting, your textures are gonna look bad. The lighting's gonna set the whole mood and change the whole vibe of the scene.
Here's a quick look at behind the scenes, kind of what the stage looked like. You can see our LED volume is back here, and we're kind of layering talent. We had to stack different practical elements throughout the stage to kind of layer things and build out the scene. And then we had atmosphere in both the 3D environment and practically with haze and lighting. So this one was another scene from the same video series, right? This one takes place interior of a governor's office. It came to us again with some really great visuals. So this project was kind of unique because the director wanted to combine both a physical set and the LED volume. We hadn't done this before, so it was a little bit out of our comfort zone, but I'm glad they pushed us to do it. The director really wanted to see this bloom coming from these windows, kind of almost like you would get in a real space, but might be a little bit harder to shoot on the LED volume. So we worked with the production team to build a set. As you can see here, we've kind of layered everything out. We've got a practical set here, with those lights, with the bloom coming through. Our LED volume is obviously back here, and we start in the foreground. And we've got some small elements that we begin to stack, and then we've got our talent in the middle. And then towards the end here, we use some flats to almost serve as a doorway, so we can really get this sense of perspective as we're pushing through. So when we look at our final in-camera VFX shots here, you can see that our team did an awesome job of blending the two. We've got our physical set here, and then our LED here. And what went into that was a lot of optimization. So Gus, if you want to talk a little bit about that process for you.
Yeah, so I basically spent pretty much a day or two sitting with the director, changing out different types of wood and different kind of textures behind the governor's office to really match with the physical, the real wall. Yeah, most of it really is just a lot of color correcting, and then just adding like a couple like fake fill lights to really get the scene going, because and a lot of times it looked way too dark. When
we look at the end product of this project, I think our whole team is really happy. We really pushed the boundaries of what we could do. We matched a physical set with LED. You can't really tell, if you look at these two, which one is LED and which one is a practical set. And at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do.
That's the whole point.
So our next project was Portraits and Patriotism. This is a docu-series where it's aimed at students K through 12. So telling the story is really important, but telling the story visually is even more important. So our director came to us with some really cool visuals for reference shots. I know we kind of leaned in on this one just on the overall feel. And this was another great use case for VP, because we're recreating a historical environment that is going to be really hard to go find in real life.
Yeah, we can't really go out into a wheat field on a dark and stormy night. So
and then film for
yeah,
8
film
hours
for 8
all day
hours
long.
all day. So the director came with me with, this was the main reference, and originally he just wanted to have a video looping similarly in the background. We could do that, but I could also build it in Unreal Engine because he gave me such good reference. So I convinced them that let's do it in 3D so we could have camera tracking. It just gives the whole scene a much more dynamic feel and actually like puts the talent into where they actually are.
Let's take a look at the shots here. We got some really great shots, all in studio, right where we're standing right now. So when we look at our BTS shots here, you can see, one, our production team, this was kind of our first full set build where we really went all out with practical elements in the set.
I think this was actually the first project I did at the university.
So yeah, I think this was a really awesome project to kind of push both virtual production and our production team. You know, we do everything internally, so art department and virtual, we both sort of pushed each other to make something that turned out awesome.
Yep.
So this was another Portraits and Patriotism docu-series shoot. We needed some compelling B-roll at an airport where this person is saying goodbye to their family and all their loved ones. And obviously, virtual production is another great use case scenario here because to go to an airport, to get the permits, to
We're not allowed
try
in
and shoot
airports.
there, it's going to be difficult, right? So to do it right here on our stage with all of our equipment in our studio makes it much easier. So our director came to us with some great visuals to kind of kick things off. Gus, I remember you had started searching. You had already known about some assets that would probably work for this.
Yeah, I knew about a plane because I don't have 1 week to model a whole entire plane on my own. So I was able to source a plane and change the colors. And they were really going for a sunsetty vibe, so I was able to use a high dynamic range image, or HDRI, you call it, for the sky to really get some good bounce lighting and good global illumination.
I think this project is a really good example of how, you know, no matter how much we previs, sometimes there's always little changes that are going to come up once you get on set, right?
Yep.
And so we had a bunch of different things. There was the position of the
watchtower. We probably spent like 30
lights,
minutes on the position of the clouds and the sun.
slowly moving the plane. And so you were able to do all these things kind of on the fly, you know, pull down end display, or maybe if it's small enough, not even do that. This was also an interesting project because we're not actually shooting at the volume. We used a giant piece of glass in here, and we're reflecting what's on the volume and shooting through it with a black background. This kind of helped sell this idea that, you know, we're outside as the viewer and they're inside looking out at this big plane. And then once again, we're stacking all our layers here to kind of build a scene, right? We've got our glass, and then we kind of sprayed some water on here. We added some practical lights that are hitting these water droplets to really make it feel like it's sunset and really sell the final shot.
Yep.
So that's been some of our favorite shots this year. I'm really looking forward to see what we can do next year.
Yep, hope you learned something.